Welcome back to the Creighton Basketball Newsletter. I'm Jon Nyatawa, the World-Herald's Creighton beat reporter, bringing you some insight and analysis. Again, finally, I took a few weeks off. My apologies, but you were in good hands with our wonderful staff that was keeping you up to date with the latest Creighton info. If you're missing some of that stuff, make sure you subscribe to the Omaha World-Herald. We got tons of great stuff constantly on Creighton sports. So, in addition to that, we got this newsletter. And if you haven't subscribed, do it. All you got to do is go to omaha.com/newsletters, click the little box, and you'll start getting these updates in your email once a week. Just an expanded look at Creighton basketball, mostly by yours truly. I've been the beat reporter now. This is year 6, I think, which is crazy that we're this far. I've been writing about Jays hoops for that long, but it's been a blast. And now it seems like maybe even more fun is in store as the Jays just got done with 2 of their most successful years in the history of their program. What a run they had, and they're in the reload process. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today in this video is recruiting, because Creighton just landed a commitment on the heels of bringing in its best recruiting class of recent history, a top 5 class in 2021. Creighton landed its first 2022 commitment, Ben Schultzberg, a point guard from California, 6'4", maybe 6'5", 190, depending on where you look. He's got some length and got some size as a point guard, maybe a combo guard. You watch him play, some of the highlights of his game. Like he seems to be pretty versatile, so he could run the show for you. Like he looks like he can make some really good decisions, moving around ball screens with a ball in his hands. But he can also make shots, whether he's driving downhill and finishing inside in creative fashion or off the dribble. Like he's got this one dribble pull up that's nice. I've seen that a number of times on his highlight reel. Looks really comfortable moving and stopping on a dime and pulling up for a jump shot. So he's been widely acclaimed for his jump shot. He's a good shooter. And if you know Creighton and this coaching staff, like that's like priority number 1. It seems like if they're going to find a guard, you know he's going to shoot. So Schultzberg definitely can do that. But like I said, he's versatile and he can do a lot of things with the ball in his hands in terms of running an offense or maybe even sliding over to the 2 and playing maybe a more of a shooting guard type role, depending on what lineup Creighton has available. So he chose the Jays over a number of programs. He's kind of more of an under the radar prospect at the moment, 3-star recruit. I would imagine you'll see his ranking rise now that analysts and experts, the recruiting experts, have seen him play a little bit more on the AAU circuit. Obviously, we know COVID limited the exposure of a lot of players. So a guy like him who has grown, and expanded his game, grown physically. Okay, he's taller now, longer now, but then also improved his game over the last year or 2. He's a player that you could see jumping up the rankings. So wouldn't be surprised by that. Obviously, in the end, does it matter? No, not really. But I think it's always nice for those guys who put in the work to be rewarded in that way. And we don't really have a manner in which we evaluate recruits other than those rankings. So we'll see what the analysts and experts think as he enters his senior year and competes before obviously joining the Creighton program. One thing to note about this commitment, just sort of a takeaway I've had, and I might have shared this before in this setting or other settings before. I found it interesting that Creighton, the way that it's recruited its guards, I feel like a lot of them lately have fit the profile of Schultzberg, where when I say he has a game that it's the combo guard, I guess you could say, a player who has the versatility to man the point guard spot or play off the ball a little bit, or to score with the ball in his hands. He was on the EYBL circuit, the Nike circuit. He averaged 18 points and 4 assists. The Jays, it seems like you think back to just the core group of players that were together last year, the year before that, Marcus Zagorowski was the point guard, right? But Mitch Ballock had a lot of point guard tendencies. Tyson Alexander actually played point guard at Creighton his freshman year. But then, he was a dynamic wing scorer, but yet he still had point guard tendencies when he had the ball in his hands, and they set up ball screen situations. Like, he saw the floor as a point guard, and so they've got other guys. Like right now on this current roster, the Creighton has some guys on the floor that it'll rely on to make plays, not just be a score first guy or a pass first guy, but to do a lot of different things well. Just really skilled and savvy players that understand the game. I feel like Creighton's kind of gone in this direction with its guards, where you look out on the floor and you're like, man, they got like 3 guys who can play point. And I get in this discussion with fans sometimes. They're like, okay, who's the point guard, or did the Jays have enough point guards? Do they have too many? It's like, I don't know, man. Like, the position isn't necessarily it doesn't have to be as defined or as structured as he is that guy, or he's in this spot. I mean, shoot, Marcus Zagorowski played the 2, slid over and played shooting guard for a little bit last year when Sharif Mitchell came into the game and ran the show a little bit, and took some of maybe the responsibility of bringing the ball up the floor off the shoulders of Marcus Zagorowski, and he was effective playing off the ball at times. So I think that was notable to me to see, because when you look at Creighton's roster at the moment, Ryan Nembhard, a freshman this next year at the point guard position. You've got Sharif Mitchell, obviously going to be a junior in the program. Rati Andronikashvili, who's kind of got that combo guard, point guard, shooting guard sort of ability to shift between one or the other. And then you add in the guy that the Jays just landed in, Ben Sholsberg. It's like it feels like a sort of a recreation of kind of the combo, or at least the type of players that the Jays, had those last 2 years and had so much success with in the backcourt. Players who were 100% bought into that collaborative approach offensively, where they're creating for one another and working together to find the best shot available. And they were all lethal at doing just that. So interesting to see the type of players that Creighton goes after, especially from the guard standpoint. And Ben Sholsberg, I mean, he fits the mold of a Creighton guard. So he's made his announcement and he's committed. But the Jays are still working. Obviously 2022, the early signing period is in a few months, so there's plenty of time now that the live periods have concluded. A lot of players start trimming their list and setting up maybe some official visits or unofficial visits, or narrowing their focus, coaching staffs, or deciding who they want to prioritize. So I think you'll see a little bit more clarity as the weeks unfold here on the recruiting landscape. I think the Jays, clearly they want to find a kind of a wing player, maybe a 3-4 type bigger wing. I mean, Isaac Trout, the local kid, obviously from Grand Island, that's really highly regarded and has been a top target for Creighton and Nebraska and a number of other Power 5 schools across the country. He would be that type of player. So that type of player. Kamani Hamilton announced last month that Creighton's in his Final 5. So I would imagine you'll see someone in that mold. Jason Green from Miller North. Creighton reached out and extended an offer his way last month after he had a really strong summer on the AAU circuit alongside Isaac Trout. And so I think there's that type of player that Creighton's looking for, and then a big. The Jays at the moment have, 2 scholarship centers, I guess. I mean, it's hard to know because that spot's been pretty versatile as well. But one for sure is a senior. All right. So like Ryan Kalkbrenner is a sophomore and he's got a lot of potential to grow. I guess Keyshawn Fizel would be the other. The Jays also added another transfer in Ryan Hawkins, so he might play some 5 as well. So maybe there's 3, but 2 of them are gone, right? So there's one for sure that has eligibility left after this season, and that's Ryan Kalkbrenner. So obviously the Jays could stand to add some depth there. So I think you'll see them prioritize a center at some point as this recruiting cycle sort of we start to see some of these players narrow down their lists and who schools are prioritizing. I think you'll see Creighton on the hunt for a center. But yeah, that's my update for this week. I appreciate you guys following my coverage here at the World-Herald. Students are back on camp. I'm recording this on a Monday, so students are back on campus this week, which means the start of a new athletic year. There's a little bit of transition going on within the Creighton athletic department, obviously a little bit, a lot bit. All right. Bruce Rasmussen, who's been the athletic director for 27 years, announced last month that he's retiring. Monday is his last day. So the Jays are on the hunt for a new athletic director. So there will be a little bit of change this year, obviously for Creighton. But I know there's a lot of excitement from within the athletic department, within the programs, and obviously within the fan base because of some really promising moments last year, despite all of the constraints and issues that were related to COVID. So I'm here to follow it and cover it and tell good stories as best I can. So any support that you can provide by subscribing and telling your friends is greatly appreciated. So that's all I got for now. We'll be back next week with more Creighton basketball talk here on the Creighton Basketball Newsletter. I'm Jon Nyatawa. Thanks for watching.